Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I'm your host, James Yoder. We got some interesting news today around the 2021 Michigan football schedule. I'm going to bring you here just a moment a game time announcement that I find pretty interesting. Tell you what it means for the schedule and maybe what Jim Harbaugh's odds are of winning this particular game. Before we jump into it, I just want to make sure you guys know that, hey, you can hit that subscribe button here at the Michigan Football Report. We're bringing you news. We're bringing you rumors, and there's no sugarcoating. You're not going to get me just predicting 11-1, 10-2 records like the local guys, newspaper guys, radio guys in and around Detroit and Ann Arbor do every day. I am a realist, so if you want the truth, some inside info, talk about the rumors, talk about recruiting, everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It is the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports, youtube.com/Michigan TV. Michigan, Washington, September 11th. It will be under the lights in prime time on ABC. Just announced today here on a Tuesday. That game will be, in all realities, the highlight of the first half of the season for Michigan football fans. A game that was canceled last year. Michigan was supposed to go out the second weekend of the year in 2020 to Washington, but it wasn't able to. Because of coronavirus, COVID-19, game was canceled. No out-of-conference games for either the Pac-12 or the Big Ten last year. So Michigan, coming off a struggling season 2-4, we all know how that season ended last year, is going to take on Washington. I think will be a pivotal game. Now, it's on ABC, 7:30 p.m. Michigan had a really good run of night games for a while there, but I think it was last year, Wisconsin, I think that was a night game. They got blown out. It was indeed, producer telling me in the ear. So that is what we've got there. The Huskies, 3-1 last year. I do want to stay in this graphic. I'll talk about their schedule a little bit. They didn't start their season until November 14th. Their first game at November 7th at Cal was canceled. Then they beat Oregon State, Arizona in back-to-back weekends. In-state rivalry against Washington State, November 27th, Thanksgiving weekend, canceled. Then they played Utah. The next day, they switched the whole schedule up. It was kind of a weird situation. December 5th, they lost to Stanford. And then their final two games, Oregon and USC, December 12th, December 18th, also canceled. So 4 of their 8 games in their schedule were canceled because of coronavirus, COVID-19 outbreaks last season. So they went 3-1. Expect them to be ranked in the top 25 to start next season. Michigan, of course, will not, coming off 2-4. And I will say this to everyone watching. I think this is a must-win game for Jim Harbaugh. Why do I say that? Well, we're going to look at the schedule here in a second, but you start off with Western Michigan, you go to Washington. The reason this is a must game is because Jim Harbaugh, historically, he has not done that well in bowl games out of conference. We're at 1-4 in bowl games, didn't go to 1 this past season. Struggled on the road against big-time, top Power 5 level opponents. So we'll see what he does here. But if Michigan starts off the year and beats Western Michigan, but then loses to Washington, the luster comes off this season big time, big time. And if they win that game against Washington, there's a probability that Michigan starts off the year 4-0, right? Their first 4 games, which we'll talk about the whole schedule here in a moment. So this is a big game for Jim Harbaugh. I am excited to see what Michigan comes out with, but we will see if Harbaugh has them ready to play, because many of the games last year, you know as well as I do, they came out with no fans, looking like they did not even want to be there. Make sure you go over and download the Newsbreak app. That's our presenting sponsor here on YouTube today. Chat Sports, the Michigan Football Report, we have all our content now on the Newsbreak app, and we're putting out some exclusive videos for you on that app. It's a great app. No matter what your zip code is, you get local news and weather, you get politics, if that's what you're looking for, you get sports content like ours, but also from all the local newspapers, podcasters are putting their content on there as well. It is a news aggregation mashup, and we love it. So when you download their app using chatsports.com/MichiganNB, if you do that, they know you're a Michigan football fan. That's our special link. It'll redirect you to the App Store. Then make sure you search Michigan Football Report, or you can just search Chat Sports. Go to it. Make sure you follow us. Get us up there. Been on this app for a couple months now. Want to keep it rolling. Make sure they know that you guys are a Michigan football fan. Let's take a look at the schedule. It's not going to be an easy one. I think Michigan's got one of the top 15 or so toughest schedules in the country from what I take away from it. But they get started the first weekend of September, Labor Day weekend. It's a home game against Western Michigan. Time pending, likely to be a noon game. The next week, though, September 11th, primetime game under the lights. I've been to, I think it was Penn State in 2018. I don't think I was at Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin was 2020. what have I been to? I've been to both Notre Dame night games. I've been to one Penn State night game. I've probably been to 5, 6 night games at Michigan in like, the 10, 11 they've had all time. So still special for Michigan, although most schools were doing night games, 30 plus years ago. Then it's Northern Illinois, then Rutgers. If you win those 4 games, you feel good about yourself as long as you look good in the field and they weren't sloppy wins. But then you got to go to Wisconsin, right? To start the next third or the second window, the second trimester of games, Wisconsin. And then the next weekend at Nebraska. You got a bye week on October 15th, 16th weekend. You travel back home to take on Northwestern, and then it's rivalry week against Michigan State. That is Halloween weekend, October 30th, the game the day before Halloween. That could end up being a night game too. You never know. It gets tougher down the stretch, though. Indiana beat Michigan for the first time in over 30 years in 2020. You travel on the road to a Penn State team that's going to be ranked in the top 15 to start the year. At Maryland, I'm hoping that's a win, but they've got a better quarterback than Michigan coming in this year. Tua's younger brother looked decent at times last year. Then they announced this game. It'll be on Fox Thanksgiving weekend, like it always is, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Noon, Michigan versus Ohio State from Ann Arbor. Michigan getting the first time that in this program's history, to my knowledge, we went back, I looked at all of them, so maybe I missed something, but first time ever, one of these teams, Michigan, Ohio State, will have back-to-back home games in the history of this rivalry, obviously because Michigan couldn't play last year because of a COVID-19 outbreak. That's what they say, at least. But it's Michigan-Washington is what we are talking about here today. Under the lights, September 11th, be the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, so kind of crazy that it's going to happen tonight. I'm sure we'll see some sort of memorial, some sort of acknowledgement of that day and the 20-year anniversary. But I'm going to ask you guys this question. Go down in the comments. Let me know who you got. Who do you think is going to win this game? It's going to be an unranked Michigan, almost guaranteed, and a top 15, 20-ish. I'd say they'd probably be between 18 and 22 or so in the rankings, Washington, unless they lost their first game. But let me know who you guys think. Go down in the comments. Type M if Michigan has this one. Type W if it is going to be the Washington Huskies. And I want to ask you guys this question. Is Jim Harbaugh on the hot seat? My answer is yes. Last year was a 2-4 year, but after that win against Minnesota to start the year, they went 1-4 down the stretch. And frankly, they were lucky. They were down 17 points at Rutgers in the first half. I think Jim Harbaugh's in the hot seat this year. I think this game is vital because I think they're going to lose at least 3 or 4 at minimum games in the Big Ten. So if you win this out of conference game, at least you're looking at an 8-4 season at worst potentially if you start off 4-0. And Jim Harbaugh, frankly, has done pretty dang well in the out of conference. First game ever coached at Michigan in 2015. He went on the road at Utah on a Thursday night. A Utah team that got up ranked inside the top 15 that season. They had a really good year, although they weren't ranked at the time. Lost that one, had 3 straight wins after that, including like a BYU, who was a top 20 team that Michigan shut out. 2016, 2017, they beat Florida, so those are undefeated seasons. 2018, you go on the road against Notre Dame on the road. A Notre Dame team, by the way, that went to the college football playoff that year. There's no shame in that loss. Michigan rattled off 10 straight victories after that one. And then in 2019, they won 3 games, including beating a Notre Dame team that at home in the middle of October in a torrential downpour, absolutely dominating. It was like 45-14. That Notre Dame team the next year, 2019 or 2020, went on, beat Clemson at home, went to the college football playoff. So no bad losses in there. Jim Harbaugh's got a pretty good record during the regular season. Obviously, that 1-4 bowl record is pretty brutal. And I think 2021 is a make or break season for Jim Harbaugh. I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat it. I don't think there's anything we could even pretend to sugarcoat. If Michigan goes 6-6 or 7-5, which I'll be honest with you guys right now, that is my record prediction until I see proven otherwise. And think about this. Going into year 7 of Jim Harbaugh, it's kind of 2020 being a 6-game season, it's kind of tough to believe. This will be year 7 of Harbaugh at Michigan. Where does Michigan have a position group that's the best or the second best in the Big Ten? I don't know if there's a single one, right? You might say, well, the running backs should be, but aren't proven. Hassan Haskins is definitely not one of the best 1 or 2 running backs in the Big Ten coming back guaranteed. Obviously, you got Donovan Edwards, you got Blake Corum, all that stuff. Wide receivers, no. Quarterback, heck no. Defensive line, probably not at this point. I mean, unless Aiden Hutchinson and some of the younger guys. Linebacker, no way. Secondary, It should be with 4 returning stars, but that was the worst secondary in the Big Ten last year. So if it's not running back or offensive lineman, I don't think you've got a single position group that going into the season is considered top 3, 4, 5 in the Big Ten, let alone nationally. So if Jim Harbaugh does not have some 2015 magic, taking a bad team like he did that first year, turning him into a good team, I think this year is make or break. You go 6-6, 7-5, might just be fired.